I met Clara Ponsati once. The circumstances were really cloak and dagger. It was last November when I went to Brussels to film Carles Puigdemont. Well, he was in hiding, he was in exile. And we had to go to a hotel in central Brussels, and we got an app downloaded. It gave us a secret location. We went there to make the secret interview. And Clara Ponsati was one of the ministers that Carles Puigdemont had with him that day. Now, the interview went very well. I mean, it was the first English language interview that Carles Puigdemont had delivered, and he came across as an intelligent, passionate, committed human being, much, much better than in the translated interviews that Sky and the BBC had contrived to do. So the interview was a success, but I was interested in meeting Clara Ponsati because she was an academic at St Andrews University. She wasn't, and obviously wasn't, a conventional politician. She'd been called in as an expert minister, as Minister of Education. And we spoke about St Andrews, my alma mater. We spoke about Scotland, and we spoke about Catalonia. So therefore, in the news now are the European arrest warrants, not just for Clara Ponsati, but for many other Catalonian politicians. Carles Puigdemont now under arrest in Germany, under the device of a European arrest warrant. The reason that these arrest warrants are being used, quite disgracefully, and not for what they were intended at all. They were intended to catch drug smugglers and international criminals, not to arrest democratic politicians, is of course the guilty silence reaction of Europe back in October when the Spanish state police banged over the head people and old age pensioners and others who were just trying to exercise a right of self-determination. The Belgian Prime Minister, I think the Slovenian Prime Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, the Scottish First Ministers, the opposition leaders spoke out against the violence in Catalonia. But the rest of Europe, by and large, and certainly the governments of Europe, held this guilty silence. They didn't want to offend or intervene in the internal affairs of another loyal European state. The politician actually I saw speaking about it most, to his great credit, was Roger Gale, who was acting president of the Council of Europe, who spoke out in very forceful terms. But most others kept their own counsel. And as a result, of course, this has emboldened the Spanish government into believing they can use other means in which to politically suppress the opposition in Catalonia. Now, I am not Catalonian. I don't advise the Catalonian independence parties. Indeed, if I had been, I might have advised them on a different course of action in what were extraordinarily difficult political circumstances. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't condemn state police violence when you see it in the streets of Barcelona and elsewhere in Catalonia. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't condemn the use of European arrest warrants in this quite illicit fashion. And just because it is a judicial process, as it is at the present moment, doesn't mean that people aren't able to speak out. I saw my old university, St Andrews, make probably its most political statement since the Reformation in defence of the freedom of thought of its own academic, Clara Ponsati. The Scottish Parliament should be speaking out. The Scottish people should be speaking out. Obviously, you cannot direct a judicial process, and nobody is claiming that you can. Although I think, from a layperson's point of view, that Clara Ponsati must have an excellent chance when she gets into Scottish courts, which are known for their fairness and responsibility. But people in Scotland are not restricted from speaking out on what is right and what is wrong, and they should speak out, and speak out loud and clear. Because if more people had spoken out across democratic, liberal democratic Europe last October, then we wouldn't be in this position in March with European arrest warrants used quite disgracefully to silence political opponents.